Who are you? Really? Think about it. When someone asks, "Who are you?" What do you say? Your name, your job, your nationality, maybe your hobbies or beliefs? But what if all of that is just a story you've been telling yourself? A carefully crafted narrative, pieced together by memories, experiences, and cultural influences. Today we're diving deep into one of the most profound questions of existence. What if your identity is just a story? What if the self you cling to is nothing more than an illusion, a construct, a mask? Let's peel it all back. From the moment we're born, stories begin to shape us. Parents tell us who we are. You're so smart. You're shy. You're strong. Society reinforces labels. Student, employee, artist, introvert, extrovert. These labels become the threads of our identity. But here's the twist. Most of these labels weren't chosen by us. They were given to us. Psychologists call this the narrative self, the story we tell ourselves about who we are. It helps us make sense of life, but it's also the very thing that can trap us. Every time you say, "I'm not good at this," or "I'm the kind of person who," you're reinforcing the script. But who wrote it? Think about how childhood experiences shape identity. A child constantly praised for being the smart one might feel immense pressure to always excel, fearing failure because it contradicts their core identity. Conversely, a child labeled as troublemaker may internalize that role, feeling stuck in a loop of self-fulfilling prophecies. Social media amplifies this storytelling. We curate highlight reels of our lives, carefully choosing what fits the narrative we want others to see. Over time, we even begin to believe that version ourselves. Example: think about someone who has always been labeled the responsible one in their family. Over time, they might suppress parts of themselves that feel spontaneous or adventurous simply to maintain that identity. The label becomes a cage. But beneath all these layers, who are you really? Buddhism has been asking this question for over 2,500 years. One of its core teachings is Anatta, the doctrine of no self. It suggests that there is no fixed, unchanging identity. What we call the self is just a collection of thoughts, memories, habits, and perceptions, all constantly changing. Imagine a river. It flows, it moves, it changes every second. Would you ever say it's the same river at every point? The self is like that, fluid, dynamic, never fixed. The philosopher Alan Watts once said, "Trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth." Identity slips through your fingers the moment you try to grasp it. Meditation often reveals this. As you sit in silence, thoughts rise and fall. Emotions come and go. Sensations shift. Who is the I behind these experiences? If you look deeply, there's nothing solid there. This isn't meant to be scary. It's liberating. Because if there's no fixed you, then you aren't bound by your past, your failures, or the labels society gave you. Consider the concept of impermanence. Everything changes. Your moods, your opinions, even your deepest desires evolve over time. The you from 5 years ago? Almost unrecognizable. Yet, we cling to the idea of a continuous self. Real-world application. In Buddhist practice, monks often reflect on the idea that this too shall pass. Not just about external events, but also about the self. Emotions, identities, roles, all are temporary. Buddhist practice invites us to loosen that grip, to see identity as a tool, not a prison. Modern psychology surprisingly aligns with this ancient wisdom. Studies in neuroscience suggest that the brain is a meaning-making machine. It takes fragmented experiences and weaves them into a coherent story. But that story isn't always accurate. Consider memory. We think of it as a recording device, but it's not. It's more like a sketchpad. Every time we recall a memory, we redraw it, often altering it. Over time, our core memories, the foundations of our identity, can become distorted. Example: Two siblings might remember the same family vacation completely differently, one recalling joy, the other recalling conflict, because each filtered the experience through their unique narrative. Even personality isn't as fixed as we think. Research shows people change over time, sometimes drastically. That shy kid might become a bold leader. The introvert might thrive in social settings later in life. Dr. Dan McAdams, a leading researcher in narrative psychology, suggests that identity is less about who we are and more about the story we tell about who we are. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, often work by helping people rewrite limiting narratives, shifting from "I'm broken" to "I'm healing," or from "I'm a failure" to "I'm learning." Thought experiment. Imagine you woke up tomorrow with amnesia. No memories, no past. Would you still be you? Or is your sense of self entirely built on your remembered story? So, if memory is flawed and personality is fluid, what part is truly you? If the self is just a story, why do we hold on to it so tightly? Because it gives us certainty. In a chaotic world, identity offers a grounding point. It tells us where we fit in, what to believe, how to act. But this comes at a cost. Rigid identities create boundaries. I'm this, not that. They lead to conflict, division, and personal suffering. Think of times you felt attacked, not because someone hurt you, but because they challenged your identity, your beliefs, your politics, your sense of self. Ego clings to identity. It thrives on labels. It says, "This is me. Defend it." But what if you didn't have to? Example. Consider how sports fans sometimes get into heated arguments or even fights over teams they support. At its core, it's not about the game, it's about identity. The illusion of self isn't just philosophical, it shapes our daily lives, our choices, and our limitations. So how do we live beyond this illusion? 1. Mindful awareness. Start noticing the stories you tell yourself. When you catch a thought like, "I'm bad at this," or "I'm not lovable," pause. Is that a fact or just a story? 2. Meditation. Regular meditation helps create distance from thoughts and labels. It allows you to witness them without attachment. Practices like Vipassana invite us to observe the constant flow of sensations and thoughts, showing us their impermanence. 3. Embrace fluidity. Instead of clinging to fixed identities, see yourself as ever evolving. You're not a noun, you're a verb, constantly becoming. 4th, let go of ego battles. Next time someone challenges your views, notice the ego's reaction. Breathe. Remember, you are not your opinions. 5. Live authentically. When you're no longer bound by rigid labels, you're free to explore, grow, and act from a place of authenticity rather than fear. Practical. Tip: journaling can be a powerful tool. Write down the labels you most identify with, then question each one. Is this truly me, or just a role I've been playing? Here's the beautiful paradox. While there's no fixed self, that doesn't mean you don't exist. It means you're freer than you ever imagined. You're not trapped in a static identity. You're fluid, dynamic, limitless. So the next time you think, "This is just who I am," pause. Ask yourself, or is this just who I've been telling myself I am? Because the truth is, you're not the story. You're the storyteller. And once you realize that, the possibilities are infinite. Thanks for watching Zen Paradox. If this video sparked something within you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Until next time, stay curious, question deeply, and embrace the paradox.